Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Alright, so today I'm going to be changing my transfer case fluid and the BMW X5M. Alright, I'm going to say this procedure is correct. I'm going to go for most. I don't want to say all. I'll have to research that. But I'm going to assume that all the X5s with the X drive has similar transfer case. So that procedure may just go for all X5s. If that's the case, I'm going to title it, appropriately. So first thing I'm gonna do is get the carpal ramps. Obviously you want to make sure that it is warm up to temperature. It has to be within a certain temperature to help get the fluid out. I'm going to go over tools, everything I need afterward, because I want to make sure that what I use I can cover. So safety first, make sure you got jack stands here. Jack stands aren't really supporting the vehicle. They're just there in case these somehow collapse. These shouldn't, because these are rated at 12,000 pounds, but it's always good to have a backup. All right, so some basics. Obviously you're gonna need fluid. This is the S-Tech. It says transmission fluid, but this works for see here it says full drive, all-wheel drive systems. This requires this fluid. This is an OEM Spec fluid. It's made by, I believe it's Shell. A fluid pump of some type, so I can just put this hopefully on this here and pump the fluid in. And I have a fluid extractor which I can also use to pump fluid in. I have a magnetic plug, so I can use that to replace this, hopefully hold all the anything that's all the particles that happens later on the fluid. And there's a couple of different wrenches. I think it's a 14 here, so I got different ones. And I even bought a real thin one to see if that would help. I think the fluid part is easiest, just getting to getting the right tools combination to get access to it. Also not sure if I'm gonna need this, but this is another tool that it's like a differential drain, something to give me an angle to get into the bottom. So we'll try everything out, combination, and we'll go from there. So I do oil changes. This is your oil change plug here. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna come back, further back. This is the transmission right here. And we're coming all the way back here to the transfer case, which is, you see it here, is next to the drive shaft. Okay, we come back to the back of it, and the plug is easily accessible right there. I can barely fit a finger in there. So that's how we're going to remove the fill plug. We're going to suck out the fluid from here and then refill it back. All right, so one of the challenges is getting something up in there. So what I'm going to do, I bought this piece. It's a 14 millimeter hex, and I'm going to use a 14 millimeter thin wrench. The wrench can fit up in here. See it on camera, but I'm going to attach it like this, and then I'm just going to be able to loosen it that way. Okay. Won't stay in place. Okay, this is the fill plug. Got it loose. And I just used this. The angled wrench actually was better for hitting that angle. So I'm gonna listen to the fill plug. Hopefully, I'm gonna see how much fluid comes out. Let's see. So stick my little tool in here. Best position. So for me, what I did was had my extension for my extractor. I went up to the top here, and I don't know if you can see it through this camera. Get some gummy bears. And all I'm doing is adding more fluid. So, alright, filled it up, starting to drip out. Wait till it slows down a little bit, add more fluid at the cap. Okay, final thing before you do drive the X5 after you do transfer case fluid is to reset the adaptations. This is so the car can adjust. So I'm gonna play around with this arm. I don't know what I'm doing because this is my first time with this device. I'll link this device in the description. Touchscreen. No, it's not touchscreen. BMW. Let's see what options I get. I hope this works. If I don't, buddy Gus has the ISTA, so we'll try it with that. ISTA is usually, I think, preferred, or just what most BMW techs use. But I'm gonna try this first. Transfer box calibration. Okay. Got all these codes here now. All right, let me clear these codes. Let me try again, because I got the ABS, brake, collision warning, this thing, brake system, parking reduced. All right, so you can see I got the winter tires on right now. Now I've been driving for a little bit with the fluid, and I've drove to work and back, and did some few turns, and everything felt normal. I didn't feel any difference. Actually, I had a weird sensation in the beginning that I felt like when I'm on wet surface, it feels like the car, if I'm making a tight turn, it feels like it wants to skip a little bit. Like there's a small binding sensation that has all went away and been resolved. I think if your car is exhibiting that issue, get the fluid changed as soon as possible before any damage will occur. So once I experienced that a couple of times, I was like, let me make sure get the fluid changed before anything happens. But after the reset, the car has been great. So far so good, and yep, no other issues. I think that scanner is worth it. If you especially don't have ISTA P or whatever the software is on the computer, if you don't have a laptop like that, this was probably your best option as far as recalibrating the transfer case. Now, if you're just doing a routine maintenance and you don't have any other symptoms, you probably don't need to do it, but I think it's still good to do it because you get the clutches adapted to the new fluid. All right, now the reason why I'm doing fluid change is because just the other day I was driving, I was backing out of my driveway, and it felt almost like as I was turning, making backing out the driveway, I felt the car do a weird sensation, like it was, did it bind? Think of a truck that, if you guys are familiar with trucks at all, if you put those things in four-wheel drive on dry pavement, and you make a turn, that binding sensation you get with it. All right, it's not quite as severe with what I'm getting with the X5, but it felt almost like the all-wheel drive is activating prematurely. On dry pavement, doesn't feel anything. On a wet surface, on say like a slippery, coated surface that's sealed, I can definitely feel something. If I'm making a tight turn on wet leaves, definitely feel something. So I thought, it's probably a good idea not to drive the car anymore. Like the fluid change, you're looking into it, getting it done by a dealership or a DIY. I talked to Tony, the gentleman who sold me the brakes, and he did a DIY on it. And just looking at the information, I was thinking, it looks like something that's doable. The main part is getting the right tools. So the tools that I used will obviously be that angle wrench. Now, if you guys have a ratcheting wrench, that will be better. Obviously that adapter that I had in there, that hex tool, that would be perfect for it. And then a fluid extractor. Now, when I used the fluid extractor, the hardest part was actually getting a tube inside the bottom of the transfer case. Now, luckily the extractor I used had an extension. It would put that tube down to the bottom transfer case, which I felt like it was hitting something. And I just kept extracting fluid to where it sounds like a soft drink, where you're running down to the bottom and you're just pulling out air. So I did that for a bit. I pulled about 500 mLs, and then at the replacing the fluid, I put about a little bit more than 500 mLs. I kept doing it until it starts coming out. It rushed out pretty quickly. Once it starts slowing to a slow drip, I put the plug back in and tighten it back up. And like I said, so far so good. So I think main thing is make sure the fluid is warm, and go from there. All right, just also disclaimer, I am not a mechanic. I'm just another guy here on YouTube just doing a DIY. If you guys want to follow it, go ahead. But these things, obviously, if you feel like it's beyond your skill level, just go ahead and take it to a professional. And if you want to see any more DIYs, click up here. I have some more of the X5, spark plugs down there. So, yep, thanks for watching.